I added even more magical wands to Minecraft. If you haven't seen this pack before, More Wands adds a bunch of new types of wands to the game, each based on an element. So we have fire, ice, lightning, wind, earth, ore or metal, and you have chicken. Yeah, I don't know why I made chicken an element. This update adds 4 new elements to the game, those being life, death, shadow, and light. And these can be crafted in the vanilla crafting table. There are currently 11 that are free for everyone, and if you become a patron, you get a whole lot more. Generally, it's about 3 to 4 per element type. And so you can get the 11 for free, and if you want more, there are 29 more you can get to bring the total up to 40. Math. So what do the wands actually do? Well, I'll start with the 4 free ones that are available to everyone. The first wand is the log wand, and this one will bring up these like roots or tree trunks or whatever up from the ground, and it will hold the mob in place for a little bit, and it will just go across the ground. While they're in here, they can still take damage, but they're fairly resistant, so it's hard to kill them. You're not going to be able to do too much damage. And then the attack itself deals just a little bit of damage, but mostly just, I guess, entrapment ability. The Death Wand shoots out like a wave of death or something like that. This will slowly traverse across the ground. It will go up and down terrain, and it does a good amount of damage. Not super spammable. You can have a couple waves at the same time. Oh, and of course you can hurt yourself with it, so do be careful. But this is a pretty powerful weapon. But because it's traversing the ground, you can actually jump over it if you're a player. And so mobs will probably not end up doing that, but just realize players may be able to avoid it. I'll see about getting a good example of that by flying over here, and then maybe I'll jump off of the chest so it's a bit easier. Yeah, not too bad. So you can jump over it and avoid damage, but mobs will likely not end up doing that. Next up, we have the Shadow Wand, and this one's pretty cool. Well, they're all pretty cool because, I mean, I made them. So, anyway, the Shadow Wand shoots out like a little line, and then it makes the shadow player pop out of the ground and swing a sword that deals a lot of damage and knockback to anything that gets too close to it. And finally, we have the Orb of Light. And this one, when you right-click, it will place this glowing orb of light, and mobs that get too close to it will actually get set on fire, because it is, you know, it's an orb of light. It's very bright and painful, I guess. So if we find a cave, you'll see that every time we place one of these, it does actually give off some light, and you can use it somewhat frequently. It's not perfectly spammable, but you can place multiple down at the same time, and because it is giving off light and of course setting mobs on fire, it's a little bit better than torches in a lot of situations, because if you were to encounter some mobs, you could totally just retreat towards your lights and they will get burnt to a crisp. So those were the 4 wands that you get as part of the non-patron version of the pack. But now let's dive into some of the wands that are added by the patron version, which if you want to gain access to it, just support me on Patreon. It is $1 or more a month, but the $1 will get you all of the wands in this video, but also, I mean, all of the other ones, right? The 29 in total, and every other pack that I have, for the most part, has other patron content that you'll get access to. So it ends up being a couple hundred items in total. So huge value for just $1. Well, plug aside, let's check out what these are. So we have the Heavenly Light Wand and the Flash Wand. These are the 2 light-based wands. Then for some of the dead ones, we have, or death-based ones, we have the Undead Wand, we have the Portal Wand, and we have the Draining Wand. And then for some darkness-themed wands, we have Shadow Walk, we have Darkness, and we have Dark Sword. And then for some life-based ones, we have Plant, Healing, and Growth. And then finally, we have a new chicken-based wand, which is the Feathered Wand. All right, so getting started with these, we have the feathered wand. This one, every time you right click, you get a small boost into the air, and you can do this up to 10 times. And then after that, it will stop giving you a boost, but you do get some slow falling until you hit the ground. That way you don't take a bunch of fall damage. So you can use this to sort of kind of fly around temporarily. It's pretty powerful as a movement item with a fair amount of control on it. So pretty useful item. When combined with an elytra, it can be pretty powerful. So definitely a useful wand to have. So the plant wand is the next one, and this one will make bamboo spikes pop out of the ground in a radius around you. However, they do not traverse terrain, so it'll only occur at the same elevation that you are at. You'll see that over here, we're not going to see them pop up. And also over here, where it was lower, we don't see them pop up. But yeah, this one basically just makes spikes pop up all around you. It's one of the few, I guess, wide area wands that I added. And it, in theory, could be useful against a crowd of mobs. The healing wand is fairly self-explanatory. Every time you use it, you get healed a little bit. And all other mobs that are able to be healed in a small radius around you also get healed. So it's not the healing effect, it is regeneration, which is why it doesn't like, deal damage to undead mobs, but not a lot of healing, but it is fairly spammable, and it's a fairly big radius item. And so, yeah, you can use it to heal yourself, other players, and passive mobs as well. The growth wand is not a weapon, it is actually a utility item, and so I will need a crop to show it off. So with a bit of farmland setup, you'll see that upon activating the growth wand, crops will grow around you in a fairly small radius. But they can grow fairly quickly. So if you stand here and you keep using it, you can grow your crops. So sort of free bone meal, but of course really expensive because the recipe does have a nether star in it. But potentially a really strong like mid to late game farming item. Next, we have the Shadow Walk Wand, and this one's really cool. It will turn you into a bit of a shadow, and you end up just moving around as the shadow. It always just goes forward fairly slowly. You can traverse up and down terrain, and then if you ever press sneak, you will instantly return to your form. And this one works in both, of course, survival and creative mode, and it makes sure to return you to the proper game mode. As you can see here, I'm in survival again. Yeah, overall, just looks pretty cool too. Next up, we have the Darkness Wand, and this is one of my very favorite ones. This basically acts sort of like an evoker and shoots out a wave of these dark, like evoker teeth sort of things. All right, and then fairly similarly, we actually have the Dark Sword Wand, and yeah, like I said, this one is actually kind of similar to the Darkness one. This makes giant swords appear up in the sky that then slam down and do a whole lot of damage. And they are like very random for how they're rotated and everything like that. So there's a whole lot of uniqueness to this attack every time you do it, but very powerful attack, but it does have a long wind up to it, so getting it to hit can sometimes be a little tricky. The Undead Wand is a rather interesting concept. Whenever you use this one, it will raise these zombie arms out of the ground that will deal a little bit of damage and also cause slowness and a bit of a wither to them. So you can end up sort of just leaving like a trail of hard to move spaces, and yeah, there's a lot of them, so it ends up just clogging up a pretty big area with an area that you really can't move very well through. Next, we have the Portal Wand, and it creates a portal at the mob that was hit, and it eventually then will break and leave the mob in the ground to suffocate. A player would likely just jump out of this once the whole animation finishes, but they are stuck there for a little bit of time. And then they take some damage from suffocation for sure. Next, we have the Draining Wand, and this one's a little hard to actually describe. But basically, it, while in this circle, slowly lowers your max health. And so eventually it'll bring it all the way down to 1 heart. But then once the effect ends, you get your health back. And this works for everyone in the circle, not so the user included, as you can see. So as a user of it, you'll want to get out of the circle as soon as possible. But that means if you use it on mobs, and then you have like a weapon or whatever, and you head back in, you'll be able to take them out fairly quickly. With the idea being that lowering the max health of someone is very impactful, especially to like highly armored players, because it doesn't really matter how well you're armored if your health just goes down regardless, right? So in theory, you could get them stuck in a location where this effect is happening, lower their health a fair amount, and then swoop in to take them out or something along those lines. All right, so final two wands. These are rather simple in how they work. The flash wand simply just shoots a very fast moving projectile that stuns mobs in place for a little bit with, just the flash. So not a super damaging wand, but a rather stunning wand is pretty useful. And then last but very much so not least, we have the Heavenly Light Wand. This is the bitrate destroyer. It summons down an array of particles that slowly expand outwards and just absolutely deal a lot of damage in a large radius. So this one, you stand in like the middle of it, and you'll see that the ability impacts all around you. And yeah, you can use this one fairly frequently as well. And so to be pretty useful. And really this one just looks super pretty. So I like this mostly because of how it looks. And I do believe that is all I have for this video. So if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like on it, hit subscribe to not miss out on other data packs or future updates to this one. And I'll see you guys all in the very next video. Thanks so much for watching.